Hello everybody, this is Dr. Jawad. Thank you for tuning in. If you haven't done so already, hit the subscribe button, bell notification, the like button, and leave a comment and share this video with a friend or post it on your Facebook, Instagram, whatever site to help share with others because caring is sharing and I appreciate it. Oh, hey, what's going on? Hey, what's going on? Oh, you're talking about the store? I'm supposed to remind you. Oh yeah, definitely so. Oh yeah, I'm going to. Okay, cool. All right. All right, see you in a minute. That guy. All right, so we have a store. You follow the link down below, full script. Just go there. There's over 300 brands, and there's a lot of good varieties of brands because when it comes to brands and dosage, remember, do your research. Okay? So hope you enjoyed the video. See you soon. Hello everybody, this is Dr. Jawad. Thank you for tuning in. Today I'm going to do something kind of different. Since I always encourage the comments and questions to be asked after the videos underneath, and there's a lot of questions that I like to answer as well. However, I like to keep them general, and this is why I always encourage you to hit the link button, and if you want to schedule me for a consultation, you could do that so it's more one-on-one. Because everybody is an individual. No two guys are the same, no two girls are the same because of the digestive system, the environment, the weight, the sex. There's a lot of things that go into breaking down substances in the body. That's why a lot of my answers, I like to keep it general. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to, here's my cat. Go on, Jenna. Good, good, good. Okay, sorry about that. So what I'm going to do is, there's a couple of videos that I'm going to break down the top 10 questions and answer them individually. So the first video I want to do is the one that should I take bile salts? Yes. The question is, what does bile salts do? If you don't have a gallbladder, yes, you need to take bile salts for the rest of your life because bile does many things to the body. One, it lubricates the colon. The other, it removes toxins. The other one helps break down and emulsify fats so we can absorb the fat-soluble vitamins, vitamin A, D, E, and K. So if you don't have a gallbladder, definitely you need to take bile salts. If you do have a gallbladder, then personally I use bile salts to help if I have a big meal that I need a little bit more outside enzymes to help break it down. Like if I go to a buffet or a big meal or a wedding or one of those things, by having a big meal and overstuffing myself, I need to take some bile salts with me, and which also to include digestive enzymes to help with the breakdown process. I hope that makes sense. Okay, so the main question is always about diarrhea and constipation with or without a gallbladder. Let's just say when you have normal stools, it's a mixture of bile salts and fiber. This is why fiber in the diet is so important, because the fiber binds to the bile salts to compact it to make you have a normal stool. One of the functions of fiber is not only as a filler, but it helps reabsorb the bile salts. So this is why when a diet is very stressful to include fiber, because fiber also helps remove the toxins, helps detoxify the liver, and so forth and so on. So the question is, all right, you're taking bile salts and you have diarrhea. Remember, the main function of bile salts is to lubricate the colon. But if you're taking bile salts without enough fiber, then you're going to have diarrhea. Because remember, the function of the fiber is to bind with the bile salts. Now let's say you have constipation. Okay, constipation, it always goes back to the bile. It all goes back to the bile. So the function of bile is to lubricate the colon. So if you have no gallbladder or if you have low or no bile, the chemistry is in the colon. So if you're constipated, some people are just constipated like they haven't pooped in days. Drink salt water. Yes, I'm saying drink salt water because in chemistry, sodium binds with water, H2O. They're like best friends. Always remember that. So if you drink salt water, like put a nice teaspoon or maybe tablespoon in a glass, mix it up, and just swallow it. Salt your food because the salt will hydrate the colon and then you'll be able to poop. Because one of the functions of constipation is there's not enough water in that large intestines, which helps absorb water. That's a function of large intestines, it helps absorb water. So you don't have any water, so if you add salt, salt with water, it'll make you poop. Question number 1. Okay, this is in regards to when should you take the ox bile or bile salts. So for biliary sludge, another doctor says to make sure you take them away from food because you are circumventing your own digestion. Seems to make sense. Sure, it seems to make sense. The question is, again, if you don't have enough bile, what's going to happen if you add bile salts? You're going to lubricate the colon too much, and you're going to have diarrhea. Remember, there's a lot of resources out there. Some resources to say take without food. Some say to take with food. My recommendation, if you want proper digestive health, is to take them with the big meal. Number 2, I like this. Bro, do not take biles with the meal. It will neutralize the stomach acid and make you bloated. Take between meals. Sure, if you want to do that. I never heard of it that way, that it will make you bloated. I've never heard that. I always been told that, okay, so if you have a big enough meal, if you don't have a gallbladder, you want to take it with meal because remember, when it comes to digestion, the stomach is the main organ of digestion, and then once it breaks it down, then it shunts it into the small intestines. Once it bypasses the pyloric sphincter in the small intestines, then it sends a signal to the gallbladder to release the bile. So that's why I understand it's important to take with a meal. All right, so question number 3. I do not have a gallbladder, was taking bile salts, but they caused inflammation and backup of the transverse colon, liver, and slowed kidney function. Once I stopped taking them, fasted, calmed my pancreatitis, I am doing well and back to my old state and not digesting food well. I eat only organic foods, so why didn't the bile salts work for me? Okay, so you have a couple things here. You have a backup of the colon, liver, and slowed kidney function. Okay, that's nothing to kid about. Because if you have a backup of kidney function, that could be something with your kidney. Definitely get that checked out. You said the P word, pancreatitis. When you have anything wrong with your pancreas, really anything wrong with your organ system in general, but the pancreas is an organ that you do not want to mess around with or kid with, so definitely that's something that you need to take care of. The backup of the transverse colon. So we have an ascending colon on the right side, transverse, and then descending on the left side, and then the sigmoid and rectum and out the door. So with the backup of the transverse colon, that means that the backup started by the rectum, the sigmoid, descending colon, going backwards to the transverse colon. So and plus the pancreatitis and the kidneys, that's a bigger fish to fry. But here's a statement. I am doing well and back to my old state of not digesting food well. I will eat only organic food, so why didn't the bile salts work for me? If you're backed up, then with pancreatitis, with all this other symptoms that's going on with your GI system, it's a bigger fish to fry. I would definitely have that checked out, because all that blockage could be something that's bigger than just taking bile salts. However, though, the takeaway is bile salts. Remember, they're the primary component of bile. Where is bile made? In the liver. The liver makes the bile, and it's stored and concentrated in the gallbladder. And when you eat foods, it sends a signal once it hits the small intestines to squirt out the bile. So when you're in between meals, there's no bile being leaked out into your small intestines. One of the main functions of bile is to lubricate the colon, is to help break down fats, aid in digestion, absorb important vitamins, the fat-soluble vitamins A, D, E, and K, and help eliminate the toxins. So if your gallbladder is removed, okay, not the gallbladder is removed, and you still have all these symptoms, so it can lead to bile salt deficiency, because remember, it's like the leaky faucet. It just keeps dripping. There's nothing that stores and concentrates the bile. That's the function of the gallbladder. So taking too much bile supplements, you're overdoing what the bile is supposed to do for the colon, and that's to lubricate it, which can lead to inflammation of the colon and the skin, because a lot of skin issues are due to not breaking down the food appropriately to help rebuild the skin and tissues. All right, question number 4. I love this one. I was told not to waste my money by numerous MDs. I agree. And then everybody else watching agrees too. Okay, question number 5. What do you tell people who do not have a gallbladder but have diarrhea after their meals? So if you don't have a gallbladder and you have diarrhea, remember the main function of bile is to lubricate the colon. When you have diarrhea is a very touchy subject because it's multifactorial. It could be this, it could be that. When it comes to, I'm just equating it with bile. So when you have bile, it lubricates the colon. When you have fiber, which is very, very important, that binds everything together and the fiber helps reabsorb the bile salts. So when you have to go to the bathroom, you have a normal functioning stool. Remember, when you have too much bile, when you have diarrhea, you may have too much bile, not enough fiber, and or you're just taking too many bile salts because the function of bile salts is to lubricate the colon. So again, this problem results in the fact that without the gallbladder, there's nothing to regulate the amount of bile that passes into the small intestine, and so the resulting the higher amount of bile can cause the diarrhea. Question number 6. Seems like diarrhea can be a result of an absent or malfunctioning gallbladder. Sure. The D word is a very bad word. It's correct because remember, without the gallbladder, or if you have a gallbladder but you're not, let's go upstream. You have a gallbladder and you are still experiencing diarrhea and or constipation. Well, what makes bile is the good healthy fats. So for the older people, I'm 52, for the older people who remember the low-fat diet craze that came out back in the early 90s, what started happening? Well, you need fat to create bile, the good fat, not hoes and ding-dongs, the good fat, which helps create bile, but also having a regular diet of good healthy fats. What's the main function of the gallbladder? Squish, squish, squish to help emulsify the fats. If you're negating your body of those good healthy fats, of course you're going to have a gallbladder problem because it's not working. There's nothing there for it to pump. And then this is where you get gallstones or gallbladder dysfunction. Or let's say that you have a gallbladder and you eat a tremendous amount of good fats, like handfuls of macadamia nuts, avocados. Now you're overloading the system, which again, that regulates the bile, which helps create diarrhea. Sure. So again, it could be an absent or malfunctioning gallbladder because there's no regulation on how much bile is being passed into the small intestines. Remember, food is broken down in the stomach, passes through the pyloric sphincter. Once it hits the first part of the small intestines, the duodenum sends a signal to the gallbladder to release bile, and also sends a signal to the pancreas to further release pancreatic enzymes, help break down the food. Here's a great question. I like this question. Okay, I have a question, Doc. Back in the 90s, does that mean the doctors did not know they should be telling their patients to take bile salts? I ask because why did they not, and they sure in the world did not tell me, the writer, that I should also not be eating a lot of fatty foods. I found out 10 years later by a 19-year-old. Obviously this gentleman or so, this female, is much older. Didn't realize that until it was informed by a 19-year-old that I was working with who had nothing to do with healthcare, and we were in telemarketing. Great question. I hear that from a lot of my patients, a lot of people, that the doctor who removed the gallbladder said nothing about bile salts and watching the diet. That is a big question, and I would love for anybody to go back to their doctor and say, hey, you didn't tell me this, why not? What about, and I'm not going to pronounce this herb correctly, I'm sure, Chanca piedra for gallstones. So I'm not really into herbs. I know about a lot of supplements and minerals. Herb and herbology is a phenomenal area to study. Because the one thing I know about herbs, it's not like a gunshot, it's not like a bullseye, it's like a gunshot blast, because a lot of herbs can do a lot of things for the system and people. One thing I learned is that it's traditionally been used for kidney stones and gallstones. It's thought that it contains chemicals that might relieve spasms and increase urine if you have trouble urinating. It was also thought to have activity against bacteria and viruses. So it sounds like it's a great herb to use. I'm just not familiar with it. So it's great for kidney stones and gallstones. Question 9. Had my gallbladder removed 7 years ago, and I have had diarrhea for a while. Just got prescribed bile salts, have not taken them yet, and after seeing this, I do not know if I should. Well, if you had your gallbladder removed, and you're in diarrhea, sure, bile salts with fiber may be able to help the diarrhea. Because remember, when you have a gallbladder, it just drips, 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 drips. The thing is, also you have to watch the fats. You can't have ho-hos and ding-dongs. You can't have all that stuff that got your gallbladder removed, possibly. You got to clean up your diet a little bit and have the good healthy fats, avocados, olive oil, the good healthy fats which keep everything contained. The bile salts will help break it down to help absorb the fat-soluble vitamins, remove the toxins. Question 10. Doesn't diarrhea show that I'm not absorbing fat well? So should not I include more bile salts? I think should not. Okay, so remember with bile salts, let's back up. Diarrhea can be caused by many things. Because let's start from the back end. The large intestines, one of the functions of the large intestines is to absorb water. So if you are not drinking enough water, or if you have too much liquid, and or if something's going on with your large intestines and you have bad food, so it's removing toxins. Remember, diarrhea is not always a bad thing. Diarrhea may be the body's way of saying, I want to shunt out this bug out of me so I could properly maintain this normal mechanical process called digestion. And or let's go back up. Maybe you're probably eating the bad fats. The function of the bile is to emulsify and break down and help absorb the fat-soluble vitamins. Nobody likes junk, and they want to get rid of junk. So you're not, it's the way that you could tell yourself if you're not absorbing the fat well. When you have a bowel movement, look in the toilet. If your poop floats, hence poop floats, that's what's happening is that you're not absorbing the fat well. Poop should not float. It should sink, and it should be contained. So let's say it is floating. That means definitely that you're not absorbing the fat well. Enough fat well. You should be having bile salts with fiber, because fiber will contain everything. I like this one, so I saved this for last. I just got out of the VA hospital after a week of being admitted due to my lower intestines was removed during a freak accident on active duty. I left AMA due to them pumping me with morphine every 2 hours, Norco every 3 hours, and now I'm backed up, having ED, and it feels like my upper diaphragm is slowly being ripped apart. Would this be a realistic solution for me? Asking for a friend. All right, so first of all, the VA, thank you very much. Thank you for your service. Thank you for our freedoms. Definitely appreciate that. It sounds like you had a very freak accident. I'm sorry about that. Morphine and Norco will cause immense constipation. Immense constipation. The upper diaphragm being slowly ripped apart could be the fact you're backed up. And all in all, yes, this would be. Because if you have constipation due to the lower intestines being removed, remember, every part of your lower intestines has a function. So that lower part, the end, I could assume it's the descending colon to the sigmoid to the rectum, that all has a function to help compile everything up. And that feels like my upper diaphragm is being slowly ripped apart. That could be all the constipation and inflammation that your body's going through due to nothing's moving. So yes, definitely bile salts would work. I'd also recommend, if you're constipated, definitely do the salt water. Put salt on everything until you start going regularly. And again, thank you for your service. All right, so I like doing this because I like to compile the questions up and answer them. I want to try to do this a little bit more. But if you want a one-on-one consultation, please hit the link below. Go to my webpage and schedule a one-on-one consultation. I'd be more than happy to talk to you, and because everybody is an individual. So if you like this type of content, please subscribe and share with a friend, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching.